Frost clings to the iron hinges, but through the cracks, a fiery heart beats within. From the carved idols of the old gods to the bite of the axe, faith and labor are one. A village rises from the snow, a thriving community defying the frozen mountains. Winter tries to bury them, but the central fire ensures the cold never wins. Inside the longhouse, warmth spills from the hearth. Outside, the twilight turns to blue ice. Simple wooden bowls feed the family, fueling the warrior who must brave the dark. He walks with purpose, breath clouding the air, a stoic figure against the winter wind. Camaraderie is forged in firelight, raising toasts while sharpening the tools of war. A living ship on land, the longhouse glows, an overturned hull sailing through the night. Construction requires strength and precision, shaping massive timbers with hand axes. The massive A-frame skeleton rises, the backbone of a shelter built to last generations. Interlocking logs seal out the draft, insulated by the moss of the forest floor. Every beam is inspected, every carving a prayer for stability in the harsh climate. While the structure holds the snow, hands within weave the fabrics of daily life. The shuttle flies through the threads, weaving warmth for the crowd resting on the benches. Under heavy furs they sleep and dream, while the cauldron stirs with the next meal. Feasting is a communal act, a shared defense against the long, dark winter nights. Sunrise meets the wooden walls, and the door opens to unleash the fire's breath. Firelight spills onto the stone foundation where snow piles high against the base. Tending the flame is a constant duty, while nimble hands carve beauty from wood. Sod roofs bear the weight of winter, the chimney smoke signaling life beneath the drifts. Iron scrollwork guards the entrance of this terrestrial ship, frozen but unyielding. Mud and straw simple daub fills the gaps, sealing the home against the elements. Dried moss packs the crevices, nature's own insulation applied by careful hands. In the soft glow, whittling passes the time, a moment of peace for the family. Deep blue twilight descends, and the mist rolls in, wrapping the village in silence. The dragon motif emerges from the pillar, a symbol of power raised by ropes and sweat. Above the snowy roofs, the sky dances, the aurora borealis blessing the night. Inside, the haze of the feast warms the soul, horns raised in the crowded hall. A sentinel steps out from the warmth, armored against both the cold and the unknown. Symmetry and design, the great hall stands like a ship's hull, carrying its people safely. Buried in white, the union of wood and turf creates a sanctuary for survival. Sunlight reveals the texture of wattle and daub, a woven lattice of earth and branch. Mortise and tenon lock together, a complex truss system filtering light and smoke. Stone walls rise against the rocky backdrop, built from the very bones of the mountain. Layer by layer, stone and turf are stacked, a heavy barrier against the biting wind. Rough timber meets soft earth, a macro view of the materials that define their world. Plaster smooths the rough edges, while god rays illuminate the dust of construction. A single beam of light strikes the floor, highlighting the strength of the pillar. The foundation is set, a stone footprint ready to support the timber skeleton. Heaving gray rocks into place, they build the base of their future home. Slate fits perfectly against timber, leveling the ground for the floor within. The spade cuts deep, lifting a perfect block of sod, roots and all. Passed down the line, these blocks of earth become the bricks of the Norse. Placed in a herringbone pattern, grass and dirt interlock to form the wall. High on the ladder, the roof takes shape, heavy rolls of turf shielding against the sky. A cross-section of life roots and soil create a living, breathing insulation. Halfway up, the dark earth walls stand in stark contrast to the white snow. Completed, the turf house is a fortress of warmth, icicles hanging from its brow. As snow melts, the wall reveals its true nature, wet moss and living grass. Even the smallest lives find a home here, crawling among the warming roots. In summer, the house disappears into the hillside, a camouflage of lush green. Intricate carvings frame the door, connecting the wild roots to human artistry. Proudly they stand, a family thriving in a home built from the land itself. Sunrise flares over the ridge, turning the turf roof into a golden hill. Inside, the mood is dark and warm, the breath of livestock mingling with the fire. Goats chew contentedly while the heavy ox breathes steam into the cool air. Man and beast share this shelter, a symbiotic life separated only by stalls. Children play with the animals by the hearth, learning the rhythms of the farm. Work never stops smoking in the background, sharpening tools in the foreground. On the straw-covered floor, a child feeds the chickens, bathed in firelight. Gentle hands pet the goat, while the blacksmith's hammer rings in the distance. Living quarters and stalls merge in the haze, a hazy communal existence. The cauldron stirs, the wood is whittled, the family finds peace in the routine. Sleeping pigs and chewing cows, the closeness of animals provides essential heat. Carrying the bucket through the aisle, she walks through shafts of cutting daylight. Steam rises from the bowls. The meal is simple, but the company is vital. Red-hot iron meets the anvil, sending sparks flying through the barn's shadows. The massive Highland cow rests by the fire, a shaggy giant enjoying the warmth. Backlit by the cold, the cattle's breath forms heavy clouds in the barn. Dust motes dance in the god rays, floating above the crackling fire. A portrait of contentment faces glowing orange in the safety of the home. Looking down the length of the house, life teems on either side of the walkway. Grooming the cow removes the dust, a moment of care between master and beast. Close to the eye, close to the heart, goats rest their heads on a waiting lamb. Chickens roost high while the dog sleeps low, every creature finding its place. Stories are shared in the circle, surrounded by the tools and meats of survival. Iron tongs arrange the logs, keeping the heart of the home beating strong. The metal glows bright orange, raised high in anticipation of the strike. Golden sparks explode in slow motion, illuminating the darkness one last time. The smith works on the floor, hammering amidst the resting sheep and goats. The husky watches calmly as the family gathers, the cauldron bubbling nearby. Wrapped in fur, the warrior walks away, leaving the chimney smoke behind. Wind scours the landscape, a war with the elements fought by a sod-roofed cabin. Frost crystals coat the logs, freezing the water before it even leaves the ladle. She strokes the fire, sending sparks up the chimney as dusk settles on the valley. The hall listens in silence, illuminated by the fire that lights the timber roof. Snow clings to the mossy crevices, testing the insulation of the stacked logs. Intimacy is found on the bench, a warm connection against the stone wall. A father teaches his son by the flames, passing down knowledge with every log. Rough wool becomes yarn, knitting together a garment of survival by the fire. Smoke collects in the rafters, filtering the shaft of light that breaks through. Steam escapes the cracks, a sign of the warmth trapped behind the heavy door. He steps in, shaking off the snow, the wind briefly invading the sanctuary. The door seals shut, bringing relief to the weathered face lit by the hearth. A figure in red approaches, a splash of color against the monochromatic snow. Rubbing hands for warmth, the warrior enters, leaving the freezing world behind. They eat in quiet domesticity, the stew warming them from the inside out. The latch is lifted, steam rushing out as the weathered door cracks open. She steps out into the brightness, revealing the vast snowy landscape. Sitting against the stone, the couple looks toward the door, watching and waiting. Double doors swing inward, framing the woman against the blinding white exterior. A smile greets the snow resilience standing in the doorway of a dark cabin. Emerging from the earth, they step out together, breath puffing in the freezing air. Confident and armed, the warrior returns to the dim light of the hall. A pitcher pours, a bowl fills, hospitality flows in the crowded longhouse. The door opens to a silhouette, the moonlight outlining a figure against the snow. Children run freely, bundled in furs, racing towards the safety of the great hall. Smoke rises vertically, a signal of life from the homestead in the distance. Walking past the pillars, he moves through the long house towards the heat. Huddled on sheepskins, the family gazes into the mesmerizing dance of the fire. The long fire burns, capturing the imagination of the boy wrapped in his blanket. A hand strokes the fur, touch of tenderness in the soft orange glow. Armfuls of wood fuel the night, placed with reverence near the pit. The texture of charred wood, the dance of yellow flames, energy released. Hands held out to the warmth, finding peace in the simple, radiant heat. Stories are told, binding the family together in a circle of safety. Iron tongs push the log deeper, reviving the coals with a shower of sparks. One last strike on the anvil, and the darkness swallows the smithy's light. In the bog, they harvest the black earth, cutting sod blocks with heavy spades. Baskets filled with peat are carried home, the fuel of the treeless lands. Stacked on the fire, the peat burns slow while a spoon is carved from wood. Rhythmic puffs of smoke mark the village, breathing under a moody blue sky. Gathered in the haze, they listen to the lore of old, warm, and protected. Rough pine meets green moss, nature's seal against the glittering frost. The leader drinks deep from the horn, staring thoughtfully into the flames. Stew is served to the children, blankets wrapped tight against the drafts. The poker stirs the lifeblood of the house, sending sparks chasing the smoke. Wooden beams crisscross above, guiding the smoke towards the peak. Fresh straws spread, dust dancing in the single shaft of light. He watches the smoke rise. Management of air is the key to comfort. The shutter opens, a wooden eye controlling the breath of the house. Smoke hangs high in the rafters, leaving the air clear for those below. Deep in conversation, men sit comfortably while the dog sleeps at their feet. The door opens, and winter rushes in, swirling the smoke in a chaotic dance. Cold and weary, the warrior seeks the pillar, drawn to the central warmth. Discussions flow by the fire, explaining the ways of the world and the wind. A chunky wooden bolt slides home, locking the night out with iron and oak. She secures the latch, sealing the warmth against the winter darkness. He steps in from the swirl, steam rising from his furs as the door closes. Bright white snow clashes with the dark interior before the barrier is restored. Looking up, a column of white smoke escapes through the square of daylight. Vertical ascent engineering perfection keeps the living space clear and breathable. A father points upward, teaching his son the invisible currents of the room. With a long pole, the trapdoor is adjusted, shaking dust from the rafters. A layer of haze hangs above, caught in the sunbeams filtering through. She knits in peace, breathing easy thanks to the flow of the air. Under the moonlight, smoke billows steadily from the chimney box. Huddled together, they stare into the long fire, safe in their circle. A look of satisfaction, the fire crackles and the smoke finds its way out. Birch bark and moss create green armor, glistening with the morning rain. The hoe cuts deep, peeling the sod from the hillside to cover the home. Timber, bark, and turf layers of nature stacked to keep the weather at bay. In the forest, the knife peels the birch, harvesting flexible sheets of protection. Hands flatten the rolls, preparing the waterproof skin of the roof. Overlapping like shingles, the bark is laid, waiting for the weight of the earth. Stones hold the bark in place, a patchwork of black and white texture. Passed from ground to roof, the grass blocks cover the bark, locking it down. Half green, half wood smoke rises, marking the first breath of the house. By summer, the roof blooms, blending perfectly into the lush landscape. Life thrives on the eaves. Insects crawl through the living thatch. Green turns to white. As snow falls, the house vanishes into the cold blue. Hands warmed by the roaring fire, sheltered by the earth above. Buried in drifts, the snow acts as a windbreak, puffing smoke from the peak. The shovel clears the path, moving the white weight from the wooden door. Icicles hang like daggers, backlit by the sun, while steam crystallizes in the air. A swirl of cold enters, contrasting sharply with the orange warmth within. Inside, the wood is dry to the touch, insulated by the frozen walls outside. Braiding hair by the firelight, the family finds quiet moments in the storm. Snow is an ally here, a blanket that wraps the house in silence. He enters from the blizzard, shaking off the storm, the wind howling behind. The wooden latch slides shut, muffling the gale and sealing the sanctuary. Carving and sewing, the family gathers around the long fire, safe and sound. In the barn, steam rises from the animals, their body heat sharing the burden. Smoke drifts lazily to the leor, lit by a shaft of blue winter light. The stew bubbles, promising warmth, watched closely by hungry eyes. In the corner, the forge glows hot, a small fire for a specific craft. Sweat and soot mark the smith's face, illuminated by the rhythmic flash of metal. They eat together, laughter mixing with the steam rising from the bowls. Sleeping soundly under sheepskins, a child dreams while the fire dances. Outside, the longhouse glows against the snow, crowned by the northern lights. Life in the twilight is sleepy and calm, shadows stretching across the floor. A log is added, a flare-up lighting the room for a fleeting moment. Hypnotic rhythm metal meets stone, sharpening the edge for the days ahead. Hands gesture and storytelling, eyes reflecting the fire's ancient magic. The cat curls on the cow. In this house, warmth is the only currency. Green and purple swirl above, a celestial show over the snowy roofs. Embers glow red in the dark. The family sleeps, and peace descends. Smoke dissolves into the freezing night, the only trace of the life within. The village lights flicker and fade, leaving the valley to the winter. He passes an object to his son, a small legacy glowing in the firelight. The great hall rises, a vaulted cathedral of timber filled with smoke and voices. Raw wool spins into yarn, lanolin greasing the fingers in a rhythmic dance. At the weighted loom, she beats the threads, weaving the fabric of the household. Red and yellow intertwine, a pattern of fate emerging from the strings. Children play, adults drink, the hall buzzes with the energy of the community. Bellows pump, stoking the white-hot heart of the blacksmith's forge. The strike sends a shower of sparks, a cinematic explosion of industry. Dipped in water, steam explodes upwards, tempering the new iron. Smoke rises from every chimney, a village alive in the heart of the snow. Meat is cut, the cauldron bubbles, preparation for the feast is endless. Horn spoons dip into stew, laughter ringing out from the crowded table. Goats chew baskets, chickens peck dirt. The barn is part of the home. In wall bunks, they sleep under bearskins, shadows stretching from the low fire. The Jarl sits on his carved throne, gold gleaming on his arm, watching all. He raises the horn skull. The hall responds, a thunder of voices. On the beach, the Nar rests, a silhouette against the purple twilight. Caulking the planks with tar and hair, ensuring the ship stays dry. Snakes and beasts twist on the door, a carved warning to those who enter. Bone needles sew fur, knives carve wood, industry thrives by the fire. Pattern welding twists the hot iron, sweat dripping as the weapon takes shape. Tools rest on the bench, the finished iron cooling in the smoky air. Torches light the dusk, guiding the warriors toward the warmth of the hall. They enter, shaking off the snow, joining the lively crowd within. Strategy on the board, Nefertav occupies the mind while others cheer. The skald sings, his lyre weaving tales that hold the crowd spellbound. Wide eyes watch the bard, firelight reflecting the wonder of the story. Roasted meats and flatbreads, a scene of abundance on the long table. The Jarl speaks, his voice commanding the silence of the room. Proud faces look back, warriors, craftsmen, elders united by the flame. The heart of the village burns bright, sending sparks to the stars. She cuts the cloth, a beautiful pattern finished and held to the light. He inspects the edge, the sword glinting perfectly in the firelight. Glowing in the cold, the hall stands as a beacon under the aurora. The feast ends, the fire banks low, and sleep claims the household. Wisps of smoke drift into the stars, carrying the spirit of the hall. Lights fade on the snow. The village sleeps, waiting for the sun.